You know what? No. Well...
Yo, what is going on? Thank you so much for joining in. So, Dune Messiah. When this book first came out back in 1969, it definitely was not met with overwhelming praise, leaving some people a little confused, while some people outright angry. Okay, probably not to that extent, but people were coming to the story probably wanting a continuation of the action-packed, heroic story of Dune, with our boy Paul Atreides riding sandworms into the distant sun with Chani at his side, but we did not get that at all. So if you're ready, let's dive into Dune Messiah. And before I move forward, just a quick disclaimer. I am talking about the second book of a series, going into some of the elements found within the book. So spoiler warning if you haven't read Messiah just yet. So coming in at just half the size of Dune, we get a much different story compared to Dune, and the overall tone is a distinct shift in how Frank Herbert presents the story, and especially our main character, Paul. While Dune is a story of Paul rising into a position of ultimate power, in an action-packed and fast-paced narrative, Dune Messiah, on the other hand, is a tragic, philosophical introspective of the fall of Paul. The best way that I can describe Dune Messiah, at least in my read, was that it was a very informative DLC to Dune, but a very good one. And for those who do not know what DLC stands for, it stands for downloadable content, which is very common in today's age of video games, where new content is added into the game after it was initially launched, either enhancing the game or adding new storyline elements to the base game itself. So going back to Dune, it really is a fully fleshed out story, full of epic sci-fi world building and a ton of great character development. It really could be the point of where you stop within the Dune series, which many people do. But if you are a fan of the Dune universe and Herbert's writing style at all, there is so much more. And people like you and me who want to continue within the Dune universe are coming in high off that exhilarating story found within Dune. We pick up that next book expecting more of just that. A fast-paced story filled with battles, knife duel, desert survival, and of course, riding sandworms. But a lot of that is not found within this book. But what is the story all about? Well, Dune Messiah, in my mind, is the continuation of Paul's story, where we finally see Paul in that position of power, dealing with the consequences of what it took to get there. Paul is now the emperor over the entire universe, and a lot of people are not happy with how things are going. Paul can now be seen as the person who completely upended the balance of power across the universe, and the person who unleashed the jihad religious movement that killed millions, if not billions, of people that came in its way. Paul deals with the overwhelming knowledge of the chaos that was created in his name. And at the same time, people even within his inner circle are plotting and conspiring to take him down off the throne. So with the book not having a lot of the same elements found within Dune, what can we expect within this book, and what could potentially cause a problem for a lot of readers? Number one is definitely extreme inner monologue. We get into the mind of multiple characters within the story, especially Paul, while sometimes we're reading pages and pages of them just thinking.
I was thinking...
So this might actually work for some people, as you get to dive deeper into the characters and build a deeper connection with the character and understand truly what their motivations and what exactly their thinking process is. But at the same time, these introspective scenes are not action, they're not fast-paced, they're not visually immersive, so it could come across as very slow or boring to some people, where it's not going to be that engaging if you're not a fan of that type of writing. Number two is coming right off of that, and that is action. There is not near the same amount of action, compared to Dune, found within Dune Messiah. Not saying there is not any action, it's just very minimal and really towards the tail end of the story. So another reason why readers might experience this book as being, boring or slow paced. Number three is that we get to dive into some returning characters found within Dune, with my favorite one being Duncan.
Dunkin' Donuts!
I really enjoyed this character found within Dune Messiah, especially his growing, or should I say regrowing, relationship with Paul and Aaliyah. Now there is a twist with this character that I won't go into too much detail here, but let's just say you might hate him. But yeah, those are a few things that might divide you on if you enjoy the story or not found within Dune Messiah. But in terms of my read, there were some things I wish were more prevalent within the book, with number one being the Bene Gesserit voice, or really anything surrounding the Bene Gesserit, because there was just so much build-up in terms of Paul learning how to control and create the voice. I really wanted to explore the Bene Gesserit a little bit more, and we did not get a lot of that at all within Dune Messiah. Number two is technology. In Dune, we were introduced into so many really cool, interesting concepts of technology, like thumpers, still suits, thopters, personal shields, and so much more. In Dune Messiah, we really did not go beyond what we found in Dune, so there was a lot to be wanted, at least from my side, in terms of technology. And number three is just learning about this jihad that is talked about time and time again, in terms of it being just a horrific event that kills millions, even billions of people, but all we see is just this 1,000-foot view of it just being described to us. So we don't really get to see more details on the actual workings of how it took place. And the last thing is, where's the worms? I'm sorry to say, we got no close-up shots of the worms in this book. So overall, if you are a fan of the first book and you're somewhat interested in exploring more into the Dune universe, I definitely recommend picking up Dune Messiah, with it being an essential read into the Dune universe. Even if you don't enjoy the tone shift, the introspective, and the slower pacing, you will be able to conclude Paul's story from the epic beginning of Dune. I personally really enjoyed it. I love books that go deep into introspectives. I'm not sure why, it just really appeals to me that I get to see the inner workings of their mind and really see how they think. And also the philosophical elements really appeal to me as well, as it makes me think that I'm getting smarter. I also gotta say that the ending of this book is pretty wild, and I think it's a great setup for going into the third book, which is called Children of Dune. And that story goes off the rails. So if action was one of the main things that you really enjoyed about the first book in Dune, get through the second book, because book number 3 gets back to a similar feeling that we found within the first book. And that's really all I have for you today. So for sticking around, you've earned 1 XP token, and if you are already a subscriber, you get an extra XP token. So here you go. So stay down the golden path, Pony Boy. Peace.